Pramod doesn't need any introduction, but still, let me give it a shot. So Pramod is one of the foremost brains in the tech side in the country. He is the CTO of EkStep Foundation. He is the chief architect of Aadhaar and India Stack. He's also the founding architect of backend protocol. So a lot of the good things which are happening in the country with respect to open networks and a lot of digital public goods being created, which are sort of putting India as a superpower, as a digital superpower globally. A lot of the thinking behind can be sort of attributed to Pramod's hard work. So without sort of wasting a lot of time, I would like to invite Pramod to sort of give his perspective on digital public goods and what can happen in the domain of education and skilling, and how all of this can help India as a country. So over to you, Pramod.
Thank you, Anand. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
I'll take a few minutes to. I know we have tremendous response to Skill-A-Thon. Thank you for all of you to participate and join in today. This is one of those UPI moments. If you will, at least for the folks in India, will recognize that where there is always an opportunity, window of opportunity for all of us together to make start the journey that takes us towards something beyond our imagination, right? That's we keep using Aadhaar moment, the UPI moment, and so on. But now we have lots of them, lots of such projects we have. I want to take you through a little bit of that today and set up the context of why Skill-A-Thon. Why are at least some of us get excited about why the timing is perfect and why many pieces of the puzzle has come together for all of you to innovate on top of it. And again, thank you for participating today. If you sort of go back in 10 years ago, you will see with Aadhaar, we started the journey of what we call digital public infrastructure. Set of minimal building blocks. So these words have very important meaning. Minimal in the sense that it is not a complete solution. Digital public infrastructure, by definition, like Aadhaar or UPI, by itself, only it does one thing really well. It does really well, but only very, very one small thing, like identity, in the case of Aadhaar. How does it solve larger societal challenges? These ones don't solve by itself, but it allows all of you to combine these minimal building blocks. So if you think of Aadhaar as a Lego block of a building block, UPI as a building block, e-sign as a building block, DigiLocker as a building block. Now, when you combine and you put lots of entrepreneurial energy and hard work, a lot of hard work, you get companies like PhonePe and Zerodha and so on, right? Because now they are able to actually completely reimagine. All of people like you, entrepreneurs, can now reimagine the possibility of combining these building blocks, creating new forms and shapes of solutions that was not possible before. So digital public infrastructure journey, we were very carefully, India has been architecting this. It's not a centralized effort. It's fully decentralized effort with different, RBI doing UPI with NPCI. E-sign was done under MeitY. UIDI is done with authority. Aadhaar was done under Identity Authority. DigiLocker is under Digital India Corporation. Different people, but different teams came together, built one thing, one block. And each block had a purpose, and that purpose, it served that purpose really well. But what it really does is two possibilities, two important elements. The one, it allows entrepreneurs like you to innovate and bring solutions that otherwise don't get access to, people don't get access to. In the case of payment, if you only had credit cards and so on, they were very limited usage. With UPI, we expanded the usage dramatically to UPI. Smartphone users itself is nearly 270 million or something like that. And then plus UPI as a protocol is used for Aadhaar-enabled payment. It's also used for UPI 123, which is a feature phone. But when you combine them, you have about nearly 400 million plus nearly 500 million people who are now digitally transferring money. That's very powerful. But that did not happen because we thought of one app, right? We thought of an infrastructure building block that allows you to build. It allows entrepreneurs like you to innovate. And second, it compresses the time of societal inclusive development in one sense, and innovation. It compresses, it sort of democratizes innovation. And that's very powerful because you get exponential nature, development in exponential nature, which is what technology does, right? Technology does, it's not linear. It's very exponential in nature, and you will see nothing happening, but suddenly something happening. And you will see that with Aadhaar and UPI effect in one sense, if you look at it. But India is not stopping there. India is saying we ought to think digital public infrastructure not only horizontal in nature, which is India's stack, which is horizontal in nature, it has no domain, connotation. It has domain agnostic. But now we are thinking about education, skilling, healthcare, agri, and including commerce. So one such effort of imagining the blueprint of a digital education and skilling architecture is called NDEAR. So if you go to NDEAR, NDEAR, ndear.gov.in, you will see the initial efforts of bringing the blueprint alive. Blueprint is like a city's blueprint. It's not about one building or one platform. It's a blueprint that allows how a digital ecosystem-driven, innovation-driven, infrastructure-enabled system can come together. So India has a much larger and very forward-looking, futuristic in one sense, viewpoint about how digital pieces of the puzzle should come together. And NDEAR, one of the elements of NDEAR is identity. One of the elements of NDEAR is, credentialing, the trust enablement, that all your education certificates, skill certificates, job certificates, salary certificates, going digitally and verifiable. They exist today, but they exist on paper, and paper is not trustable. And the cost of trust is very, very high. So we must reduce the cost of trust and increase the ease at which you can transact. So high volume, low cost, high trust is the environment you want to get to, not other way around. And to get to that, you need to digitize the underpinning, digitize the identities, schools and teachers, and domain specific. You have to digitize the credentialing, certificates and documents, transfer certificates, school leaving certificate, degree certificate, diploma certificates, and many job certificates and so on. Need to be verifiable, like your COVID and vaccination certificate. It needs to be verifiable, portable, and internationally usable. Skilling is not limited to geography. And then on top of that, you need to provide opportunity, which is what we call, once you have identities and once you have credentials and data as assets, but you need opportunity to discover good course and to be able to do that course, opportunity to get scholarships, opportunity to get student loans, and opportunity to get apprenticeship or internship opportunity to get mentorship opportunity, good mentors and so on. And of course, opportunity to get jobs. This opportunity vector is actually what is open up what we call the discovery and fulfillment layers of NDEAR. So India is very nicely setting itself up. It's a decade-long journey. It's going to be not going to be straightforward, easy, and all of you are going to be integral part of that journey. But it tries to create a very, very forward-looking blueprint for digitally connecting every individual into both skilling and economic opportunities. Education, skilling, and economic opportunity. If you have a child in school, it's about learning. But if you are a high schooler, you already started thinking about internships and so on. And once you're in college, you're starting to think about jobs and career and so on. So this is a continuum. This is not discrete parts of life. So it's very important that we create individual at the center. You have to design this infrastructure with individual at the center. But unless all of you can provide innovation on top of that, we will not have diverse applications and so on. And ONDC, I just want to mention ONDC here because the discovery and fulfillment is what ONDC is trying to do. If you have not been tracking ONDC, you should track ONDC. ONDC is our open network for digital commerce, it's called. ONDC is about creating a network of consumers and providers unifying on a electricity grid, technology network, without one central platform. We don't need one big central platform collecting data and transactions and so on. We need decentralized network of providers and consumers. But if you think about skilling, and I want to connect ONDC and skilling, why ONDC is relevant to skilling? It's commerce, right? E-commerce. No, ONDC's idea of ONDC is much, much forward-looking. Idea of ONDC is to connect providers and consumers on an open network, not on an open platform. Subtle but important distinction. If ONDC's vision is to connect that, it might be starting with e-commerce today. But very soon, as job provider or an internship provider or a scholarship provider or a training provider or a mentorship provider can also be found by a student as a consumer. So provider and seeker or provider and consumer, you can play the same thing in skilling and education. And if you don't do that, what happens is today's while the white collar, a lot of white collar, as we call it, I mean, it's a grayscale, but white collar jobs or top of the pyramid, sort of high-end jobs, we have mechanism to somehow prove that I'm an engineer and I worked in so-and-so company and I worked for 5 years, I have good rating and so on. Because your salary levels are so high, frankly speaking, the employers don't mind spending the cost for background verification. But when it comes to a security guard or a plumber, it's not the case, right? They find it very hard to prove who they are, what they do, what they're good at, and how much good rating or experience they have. Almost unprovable. This creates this very, very large information asymmetry, fragmentation, and unfortunately, low trust, very, very low trust as well. The idea of Skill-A-Thon is to reimagine what would we do if ONDC like open network can be created for skilling and education sector by bringing high trust through credentials and data and identities and credentials and data. If you can bring high trust, and if you can connect the provider and the seeker, the consumer, over a network, unified network, how can we reimagine this fragmentation going away? A plumber finding a better job or opportunity, or a ITI skilled employee looking for an apprenticeship opportunity end of the semester or whatever in the ITI, or a college person looking to mentor a school, high schooler. It's very, very interesting possibilities emerge. But you need high trust. Trust is very key. Trust of who the other person is. Who am I transacting with? Trust. And that is where registries, credentials, and data play a very, very important part of that trust establishment. But trust alone is not enough. Once I can I need to be able to discover you and trust you so that I can interact with you in a secure, comfortable manner, whether it's a B2B interaction or a B2C interaction. So this opportunity, frankly, is enormous. And it could, as some of us say, it could be this Skill-A-Thon. And if all of you put your energy and brain behind it, we could be tripping the first domino that creates a massive domino effect in the industry. It's for you to actually make that happen. All of us can only create the possibilities and imaginations and the underlying infrastructure, like beacon protocol and so on. But imagination is truly left to you. So I look forward, very, very much look forward to seeing your submissions, seeing your enthusiasm and seeing your energy and brain power apply to reimagining what would 2025, 2030 look like for a good skilled nurse or good skilled employee or individual from India, both domestic and global opportunities in a high trust, low cost, massively unified network. That would be a powerful imaginary. I think I am very excited about it. I hope you are excited about it. And this is just a journey. Have lots of patience. Nothing immediately will happen. But suddenly you will see the UPI-like moment happening in the next few months and a year. So stay with it. Be the first mover and play first movers. PhonePe moved first in UPI, and they brilliantly executed, right? And you need to execute it. You need to imagine, but opportunities are plenty for all of you to do. I just want to take a minute to thank you as well. Thank all of you, not only you. I want to thank, for everyone who is making this happen, which includes Beacon open source community, Sunbird open source community, the two open source communities that all of us depend on to create the underlying blocks so that you can innovate. So thank you to all the community members and of course the institutions behind it, ONDC, FIDE, EkStep Foundation, and of course, thank you for NASCOM and others who have joined the